recording already, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Welcome to Meet Your Monsters. If you know what famous author said, reality can take a flying fuck at a rolling donut, then this is the podcast for you.
Colby knows.
My name is Abram Macon. These are my friends.
Kathleen?
Matt?
Colby?
Sarah.
Derek?
For you at home, Meet Your Monsters is a podcast in which I show my friends horror movies that I love, and we find out if they love them too, or if they just think my taste in movies sucks. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
Well,
All's
It
well
was
and right
quite
with the
a
world?
to-do to get this movie flying, huh?
I know. My goodness. Boy,
Somebody stole Abe's copy.
I was unprepared.
We'll find you, you sons of bitches.
Yeah.
But you two came in,
Yeah.
you know?
Good old YouTube saved the day.
Saved the
Didn't
day.
even cost me a rental fee.
Mm.
what's wrong with that?
I have to start checking instead of 5 minutes
I know.
that I in
You'll have
fact
to do
have
it.
these movies that I remember. You know, I was going to go with, because I do these shitty jokes at the beginning, I was going to do, if your favorite kind of porn is ghoul on ghoul. But I could have
That's
skipped
good. I like that.
Cut,
Yeah.
hey, Matt, cut that out. And
Yeah,
editing. We
alright.
use that next
That's
episode.
that's a cute pervy joke.
Yeah,
Aw,
but
ghoul
I feel
on
like
ghoul.
that's something maybe I've heard before. Like, did the Crypt Keeper say that? I don't want to steal
Oh.
his jokes.
That's
No,
a little
let's
racy
keep
for
it
the
in there.
It was on a
We'll use
Laffy
it.
Taffy
Yeah.
rapper.
That's right. The Halloween
Yeah.
edition.
It's a popsicle stick.
Well, if your favorite category of porno is ghoul on ghoul, this is the podcast for you.
Shit.
This week's movie is the 1985 The Return of the Living Dead, written and directed by Dan O'Bannon and starring the ever-loving Clu Gulager, James Karen, Don Califfa, and Thomas Matthews. When I saw this movie the first time, okay, so I'm a little kid. This came out in 85, so it was on HBO, maybe 86 or so, which means I would have been about 6 years old. And I remember getting up early in the morning before school started, and it was still dark outside.
You
And,
watched this
and
when you were 6.
I think I did, yeah.
Abe.
and no one was awake.
Well, that explains it.
Yeah. But I remember turning on the TV and I was flipping through the channels, and it was at the part where the guy is eating the paramedic's brain, and he crawls into the ambulance and he says, "Dispatch, send more ambulances," or whatever.
Send more paramedics.
Yeah. And I remember going like, "What is this?" And I started watching it, and then I had to leave for school right about the time they pulled that half lady through the window, and she was going brains and talking about how it hurt and everything. And it scared the shit out of me as a kid. I remember going to school and just being fucked up all day long. Like, what did I see? I had no idea. And of course, later I watched it and I thought, what I saw was a fucking awesome movie. What'd you guys think?
Fantastic.
I really enjoyed it.
So good.
It was fun.
Man, this is my second time seeing it. I actually
Aw.
liked it less this time.
Oh, it went down.
What will
went
make
down.
Matt happy? What will?
Matt needs a thinking man's movie,
I guess.
like Oculus.
I remember the first time I saw it was on HBO, and it was just the first thing I ever saw was she was walking out of the fog butt naked, and I was like, I gotta find out the next time this movie's on. 'Cause we had digital cable, and so like in the way it worked when we had HBO was like they would show a movie, and then like 3 hours later it'd be on again. So I was like, okay, I'm just staying up till 9 to watch it again, and then I watched it all the way through.
Yeah.
I think we must have been super young when we saw it too, though, because I remember seeing it.
I was probably
When, like,
12.
I think
For those of
maybe
you-
I just watched it then because I remember I was definitely younger than that because it was like some like Showtime free preview weekend or something. And
Yeah. For the listeners that don't realize this, Derek's my brother.
Oh,
we
yeah.
wrote
Because you
together.
sound exactly alike. It's not Colby just talking twice.
I like to say it's a plague of Kellys we have.
But yeah, I mean, I remember seeing it like, and it was. I remember seeing at least the first two. Like, and it was I guess maybe we didn't watch it together, but
Yeah, and what happened was I saw that and I was like, oh, cool, like a dead chick butt naked walking out of fog. And so I stopped watching it, and when I watched it the second time, it scared the shit out of me because I was like, okay, cool, they're going to put the pickaxe through his head, and it didn't work.
Oh, that was pretty great.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so follow us through the darkness of our wasted and festering memories as we struggle to recall the movie we just watched with this week's sinister synopsis. Okay, this movie starts off with our good pal Freddy, who gets a job at a what do you call it? It was
Medical
a
supplies
warehouse
store.
for medical supplies. Yeah, and
not
he's,
stores.
The supplies being bodies.
yeah,
Yeah.
corpses
Mainly.
and,
Yeah.
Skeletons
and charts and skeletons,
Corpse
that sort of thing.
depository.
Half dogs.
Yeah, if you need a split
Aw.
dog, that's the place to go. and he's getting the tour from Frank, and Frank's kind of showing him the ropes, all the creepy things, and the two are talking, and Freddy asks him what was the creepiest thing he ever saw, and he tells him about, did you ever see that movie Night of the Living Dead, and how it supposedly really happened, and the bodies were accidentally shipped to them from the government, and he shows him these giant canisters filled with corpses and goop down in the basement, and like any good horror movie, it busts open and sprays them with goop, and the next thing you know, everything in the place is coming to life, and as responsible employees, they call in their boss, Bert, played by Clu Gulager, and he is trying to find a way to contain this without going through the appropriate channels because he doesn't want to get in trouble with the law or lose his business.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this leads to a giant fucking zombie outbreak that kills everybody.
Yeah. It was awesome the way the zombie outbreak got out was because they were doing the right thing, just setting it on fire and getting rid of it, and then
The ashes went up
in
through
the rain.
Yeah,
smokestack, and then
they took a dead body that they cut up because killing the brain doesn't work in this scenario, which was a cool thing. And I noticed something interesting too. There were a lot of fast-moving zombies.
Yeah.
they were smart.
That's
They
everything.
They
don't
could
like
talk.
this
Yeah.
world.
One of my notes here was fast zombies that don't suck.
Yeah,
And I appreciate that because normally fast zombies suck.
yeah, these were pretty good.
I disagree.
Yeah, why do you think
horrifying.
fast zombies suck?
Yeah, why?
They're just, I don't know, it's so stupid when it's like the disease and they got like stupid red eyes and they got like click their teeth and shit when they're wrong. Like, just dumb as shit.
And because, I mean, yeah, zombies are impossible no matter what. But if it's zombies where you have to destroy their brain to kill them, there's no way they're moving fast. They're not. I mean, they're moving. Not really moving at all. In real reality, the body wouldn't move after wouldn't move at all because it's impossible. So running zombies is
Let's
definitely
not bring
highly
logic
impossible.
into
I
this
mean,
movie.
well,
My
logic would be
I
that-
mean, come on.
yeah, I think
You don't find. Oh, I find it
yeah.
worse.
feel like-
I think Sarah brought this up before, like, with that kind of logic. Like, they don't care how much strain they put on their muscles, they can really overdo it.
Yeah.
They'll do it until it tears, until they can't move anymore. So
Well,
they'll
like,
be fast
But
for
that
a
would
little
happen
bit.
like instantly.
Nah.
Why
You
not?
guys haven't even been
That's
in the
agreed.
apocalypse.
My take on this is, did you guys see, and I'm sure we'll watch it eventually for the podcast, but the remake, the James Gunn Dawn of the Dead?
Huh.
Well,
You haven't seen the remake of Dawn of the Dead?
Wait a minute.
So that's the one
No,
where they have
I
like
thought
the
that-
buses and they like.
yeah.
That, was,
Yeah,
that wasn't
okay.
James Gunn, that was Zack Snyder.
Zack,
That-
yeah, I thought it was Zack Snyder. That's why I
James
said
Gunn
no.
might have wrote it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote it.
Oh,
and then
okay.
Zack
Oh
Snyder
Directed
yeah,
directed it.
he definitely did.
But
Yeah.
I prefer James Gunn to Zack Snyder, so I call
Yeah,
it the
for
James
sure.
Gunn instead of Dawn of the Dead. No offense to Zack Snyder, but I like.
I mean,
James
If you'd
Gunn.
like to sponsor
Suck
our
it, Zack.
podcast,
He directed a fine movie with a script by James Gunn. Anyway, so
Here's the thing I didn't get about that movie. Is when the zombie baby was born, it like panned out, and you're like, oh no, and you're, and I shot it. Why? What's of it? Like they could have just like left it alone.
It's the principle.
It's
It's unnecessary. That's what I'm saying. Like
because that thing's
The
gonna
baby-
crawl and bite you. You know,
No, it
so
doesn't have
you are
teeth.
screwed if you're in a
it doesn't
zombie.
have any teeth. What's it gonna do?
It's gonna,
Gum
no,
you?
you didn't. Yeah, it's gonna gum you to death.
Thou
Can
shalt
it
not
walk?
suffer a witch
Do you know how
to
long their nails come out when they're
Maybe
born?
they're just
Baby
putting it
nails
out
are
of its
crazy.
misery.
Yeah, they're gross. Anyway, what was your point? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So in the beginning of that movie, this little girl bites a guy, and he turns into a zombie, and he starts chasing her. He's running down the street, and I feel like that I'll buy because he was alive and he just turned like 5 seconds ago. The next day he should be shambling. That's my feeling.
Well, how quick till
Yeah.
rigor mortis?
It doesn't take long for a body to get all
4 or
fucked
5
up. I would
hours, you
think.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
it?
I don't know.
But
Maybe we
what if
should
you're
look
still
that up.
moving? The blood's still well, it's not so fun.
Yeah, what if they're
but-
like
Yeah, the
doing some
blood is
cardio?
cooling.
Yeah. Well, also, how did
It's
they come
not
back to
pumping.
life anyways? Let's just
Yeah,
disagree to
yeah.
disagree.
But yeah, that's my take. Is I think that if the guy's got half a face and he's doing backflips,
I hate the whole like new. It's got to be a disease thing. I think it's so fucking stupid.
See,
Like, I
that's-
really
You don't
prefer
having
like
it-
I like the weird chemical magic shit because I'm just like, okay, that's cool. They got to eat brains to ease the pain of being dead when it's a disease. I'm like, what? What diseases make you want to eat other people? That's retarded.
Rabies.
Bath salts.
I also like the nearby comet brings them back to life. That's always a that was a Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
That was a cool thing.
yeah.
I'll also accept voodoo or magic as a good resurrection tool.
The one I really didn't care for was 28 Days Later. I just
That wasn't a zombie. That was just a disease.
Yeah,
they
that's what I
weren't.
mean.
I don't
They
take that.
didn't eat people though. They just killed them.
Barfed on them and shit. Stupid.
I actually
Well, what
And
do
at
you think
the
of
end-
Adventure or what
I
was
like
it?
I like 28 Days.
Zombieland.
Yeah, something that was okay.
What will make these Kellys happy?
Return
I
of the
like
Living
28
Dead.
days. I like 28 Days Later.
Back to the synopsis. I'm sorry.
Okay, so they've tried to kill this zombie. He didn't die. They chop him up into pieces and they take him across the way to the mortuary where the guy has a crematorium.
The coroner with the gun.
Yeah, he's got a crematorium and
Like on his hip, like he is ready. He is ready to rock and
This was
roll.
the 80s. He was like
Cowboy
drinking
coroner.
beers.
Yeah, right.
And if you work all alone with dead people, you might want to have a gun.
You might.
You get a lot of
they
punk
come back.
rockers in your cemetery.
Which reminds me of fucked up fact I learned. Maybe we already talked about this. The when you put dead bodies in a crematory thing, they sit up and scream
But why?
because the
Because
air
they're not dead.
and like what and like no, this is real life.
That's why he's
like,
got the gun.
It makes their like muscles like tense up, so they sit up, and then like it like forces all the air out of their lungs, so they scream, and it sounds like a human screaming.
So they're like, oh.
Like lobsters.
Well, anyway, so they torch this guy, and as he's burning up into dust and ash, he's going out the chimney into the lovely atmosphere, and it starts to rain, and it spreads this goop all over the lovely cemetery.
Like acid rain.
And the local punk
Naked
rockers, yeah, who are having a sweet party while they're waiting for Frey to get off work.
All they
Nobody-
wanted to do was party.
Nobody
This is
rocked
the
as
part.
hard as the punk rockers in the 80s. Those guys partied all the
In
goddamn
Kentucky,
time.
too. Did you
Yeah,
hear that?
yeah,
I'm
they're in
like,
Louisville,
what?
Kentucky.
Yeah. I was in Kentucky briefly.
Was there any punks?
Was there any punk
I
rockers?
did not encounter any punks, but what happened was
Did you party? Because they all partied.
I didn't party.
Party.
I went into a 7-Eleven, and on my way in, I heard one girl, and these are like pretty little blonde girls, say to the other girl, "I just told that motherfucker to kiss my ass." And I went, "Wow, Kentucky, all right."
Yeah.
And that was my one and only experience in Kentucky. I was passing through, you see. So while these punk rockers are partying, and they really just kind of seem to be hanging out, being real
They
mopey.
they weren't even being destructive. They're just like,
Yeah, one
This
girl was
wanted to
dancing
party.
naked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one girl wanted to get the party started.
Yeah,
nobody would party with her.
yeah, she
Got
was.
bare ass naked and
She
started
was at
dancing.
least trying.
That's one of the main things. I remember too about when I first saw it is her talking about like the worst way to die is being eaten, and then she gets eaten.
Yeah, that's a universal thing though, man. Like getting eaten by old men.
I too would not wish that fate for myself.
But you know the thing I've noticed about old people is they eat very little. So they take a couple bites and you get a chance to run away.
Yeah. Now, it didn't seem like, and correct me if I'm wrong, the bites were all that contagious. I mean, they were, but I feel like any way you died, you would come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
but
in the air.
For
Oh,
this
yeah.
one, like, it didn't have to be.
Yeah, I
you
think
got
did
it.
anybody come back that got killed?
I thought, oh.
The cop, remember the cop
Oh,
was standing
yeah.
Oh,
there?
yeah.
Like
Waving his
suicide
little light.
never came back.
His
Yeah, he
brain
died.
was eaten.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, I
remember?
guess it maybe if you
The
break
goo zombie ate his brain.
Yeah.
Tarman.
So how come they didn't eat the what was her name? Trash, right? The girl, red-haired
The
girl.
naked one?
Yeah.
She was naked.
Well, they
They were
didn't
like,
eat her
"Ah."
brain.
They ate her, but then she had to come back.
Why eat her
'Cause
brain
she
when
was-
you could eat
She
her
was going to
pussy?
get naked. So. Oh, let's move on.
Oh, that was a good. Come on.
It grows like it like sloughed off like the old dead tongue like halfway through. Just,
Okay.
Mother, I apologize. Just kidding. She doesn't listen.
I apologize to his mother for nothing.
Other people's mother, I apologize. So really, it's just sort of a system breakdown after that. The zombies come back and they start eating everybody. They try to board themselves into the place and they're overrun. They call more and more reinforcements and they're overrun repeatedly.
I love that part. They did everything right. Like, just nothing worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
They called the cops. They shot him. They hit him in the head with pickaxes, and
Yeah.
nothing worked.
yep. And then ultimately, they call up the number on the side of the army issued canister that says, "In case of emergency, call this number." And the military responded as the military does, and they bombed the shit out of them.
Thanks,
Mhm.
God.
And that was the end of this
But-
giant zombie outbreak. So they thought.
Yeah.
They thought, and so.
They just put more ashes in the air with
Yeah,
more
and then it
rain.
rained, and then you heard.
And when they hit said everybody's skin was burning, and that's what happened to.
Just a small irritation.
Yeah. What was cool about this movie, I thought, was the just overall scale of the zombie attack. Like, they were everywhere. They were all over the place.
Mob.
Mm-hmm.
And what-
Everybody was just fucked.
This is what I loved about it. They got in right before the time when everybody started making zombie movies that just bummed you out. You know, like they're like, I gotta kill my daughter and my wife. and all
Yeah,
this
you
shit.
don't do
This
that.
one, you're just like, awesome. They're ripping heads open and eating
Well,
brains.
Oh,
and-
that was
Those movies came first, actually. Because
Which one?
Night of the Living Dead was way before.
Wasn't
this
that
one.
Living Dead depressing?
Well, it's the same sort of thing. Yeah,
It
everyone
was
was.
depressing for like a 50s movie.
Yeah, you know.
She had, the saddest part was her boyfriend was dying, but that was like, well, it wasn't bummer, like you said. This was a fun.
Well, nowadays, zombie movies are solely to bum you out. Like, if I don't know if everybody here saw World War Z, but that movie was just to bum you out.
You know
That
what was
literally
the
its
I didn't
whole
think it was that
purpose.
big a bummer.
You know what was the most depressing about that? Is they made a whole zombie movie PG-13.
What the
Oh,
fuck?
man.
They
I was
think-
bummed. Yeah.
No blood in a zombie movie.
Yeah.
How
I was
did
like-
they do it?
Bummer.
They didn't do it. That's the problem.
But one of my favorite scenes ever in a zombie movie is that Brad Pitt actually thinks to wrap a goddamn magazine around his arm.
That's true.
That is all you would have to do. You could get like a piece of leather and a
See-
soda can, and you've got armor.
I know we've talked about this a million times before. Dodging a bite would be the easiest thing
Oh,
in the
the-
goddamn
yeah.
Oh
world.
my god.
Yeah.
Let's say you had a
don't
leather
know.
motorcycle suit, some leather
Helmet.
gloves, a nice steel-toed pair
Obviously
of boots,
a
and a
helmet.
helmet.
Well,
Not even leather. Like,
You're
we're not talking
basically
about zombie
saying-
alligators here. It's people. Like, they won't be able to bite through, like, your
Hooligans
But they're
sweaters.
never gonna give up,
Exactly.
man. They're
But
never
remember-
gonna give up. They're
and
gonna
they-
Right, I
tear your
get- yeah,
freaking head off.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just a lot
getting
faster.
overrun, but like one zombie, all these people fall down, and one zombie like bites, like eats their whole like neck in half. Like, no, like
But
you
I
just
think
push
that-
them right off.
Here's the
Maybe
problem I
like
have
hold their mouth shut.
with everything. The Shaun of the Dead had this problem, except that they did it, like, in a funny way. They overcame it, and then I see this problem all the time when The Walking Dead and all this stuff. They're like, there's like, oh, they're all walking to the street, and nobody just thinks, like, just run. Like, oh, they'll never catch up to me. Like, I'll just run this way, run that way. They'll be like, oh.
Juke 'em out.
That actually happened in the Tom Savini Night of the Living Dead. At the end, the girl, she just kind of leaves and she runs right around everybody. Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah. But actually, I'm going to fight this argument on two fronts because this is why the slow zombie is better. The reason these people can't or won't avoid these bites is because they're confused because they're seeing their friends and neighbors slowly shambling towards them and they don't know what to do. It's not because they're like, I'm reared up and ready to go zombie bashing. It's like, oh my god, that's my mother. I love her. And then that's when they bite you.
Yeah.
As to where the fast moving zombies, you just go, oh fuck, what is that? And you run away.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
But yeah, I get that. But like Walking Dead, those motherfuckers should have armor by now.
Well, they do. They have that riot gear.
Yeah,
use riot
they
gear all the time.
like
many
stumbled.
seasons
Like
later?
how did like they stumbled upon
Oh, where
after
are they
like
gonna-
4 seasons.
You know, they're not exactly going to REI and picking up stuff.
well, like
That's what I'm
Derek
saying.
said,
But that's what I'm saying,
magazine
magazine.
around the arm.
Magazine wrapped around your forearms. You are almost
You know how many-
invincible.
You know how many phone books are on front porches?
Yeah.
But that's true. There's a bunch. But remember the real problem. Like once early in the show, they've kind of the zombies are more of a nuisance than the problem. The real problem is the other people.
People,
Yeah,
man.
it's the people.
People are the
Break down
real
society.
monsters.
Yeah, the breakdown of society.
That shit would never happen either. It wouldn't happen.
I think if the power
Yeah,
went out in
because-
this city for like a week, we'd
Can you
be.
imagine? We'd
There's
be at each
probably-
other's throats. We'd all be, if I didn't miss more than one meal, I'd freak out. I'd kill all you guys.
I think it probably is true that like the second we lose power and everything, about 50% of the population is gonna get their rape on. They're just gonna start raping, just raping,
I'd
raping,
have to
raping all the
know.
time. Rape.
That
That's
would
all-
be
I
really
think everybody's
my-
walking around Target like right now, it's like, man, if this lights would just shut off.
Why rape him? Like
Fuck
that would be
everybody.
I would think like steal food
Yeah.
and guns. I
There's
wouldn't
so
go.
many
I wouldn't go
cops out
straight to
there.
rape.
Every like
know what I think would
Walking
really
Dead,
happen?
all they want to do is rape all the girls.
I think they would really have the power go out and everybody look around each other and be like, wonder what's going to come back on?
No, I'm saying like
Who's
give it
gonna
a
get raped
couple.
first?
All you got to be is a little thirsty, a little desperate.
Yeah.
I think shit would break
Look how
down
fast
pretty
it.
I think
what-
you'd walk up to another person like, I'm thirsty. Like, here's some water.
How long
That's
was
it.
the
It would be no like, I'm going to kill you over
This
my
is
water.
fiction as well,
The
but
mist is like
How many days was it?
it wasn't more than a week, was it?
No,
Yeah.
they were stuck in
Look,
that
they were about to
struggle.
sacrifice a little kid.
It's a crazy Bible lady.
You know? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's because it makes for interesting things. I think in real life, that shit would never happen.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
to agree.
I don't know.
What did we say about reality, Colby?
The
A flying fuck through a rolling donut. Kathleen, let me do this. For each movie, Kathleen digs through all the dirt and slime of the filthy internet to bring us this week's terrifying trivia.
All right. Jewel Shepard, who played Casey, the party girl, was originally offered the role of Trash, but turned it down because of the nudity. And this is despite the fact that Dan O'Bannon met her at a strip club where she worked as a stripper.
But now it's on video, man.
So in comes Linnea Quigley, and
a hero.
a hero. She originally did her famous cemetery striptease to the song Nasty Girl by Vanity, but later the song was replaced by Tonight We'll Make Love Until We Die by Stacey Swain. So we just missed
Who
our
could
Prince
forget that
connection.
song?
That's how it would go.
Tonight we make love until we die.
What a way to go.
Is there a charm connection in this movie?
Not that I could find. There's lots of Beverly Hills 90210s and
Really?
Charles in Charge. But who cares about those really?
I care deeply about Charles in Charge.
See, and I'm actually, when it comes to Charles in Charge, like, the very mention of that shit makes me angry.
Charles in
Because he's
Charge?
Scott
Scott
Baio's a
Baio now,
fucking
but back
asshole.
then-
Scott Baio.
He's an asshole?
He's a piece of shit, yeah.
How
And his
come?
stupid wife.
They had a
Was there
VH1 reality show for a while. They were
Bigoted,
both kind of jerks.
Oh.
homophobic pieces of crap.
What
Oh,
they do?
really?
Yeah, remember where that whole Chick-fil-A thing went down? And she doesn't like black people. Hold on, something, I gotta look it up. Hold on.
No, don't sue us. Lawyers. Allegedly,
Bring
allegedly. Oh, she's ready for it.
She called some blog lesbian shit asses. I remember that.
Kathleen, what else you got for
All
trivia?
right, back to Trash here. Originally, Trash did her dance with a full bush, but producer Graham Henderson threw a fit, so they shaved her bald.
And that is why this movie has a 90% on Rotten
Outtakes!
Good call, guy.
He's like, I will not have a hairy pussy in my movie. We're gonna trim it down.
You can either shave that shit or find a new job.
What do they say in the league from Questlove to Kevin Hart?
Yeah, from Questlove to Kevin Hart. In 2 seconds. All right, so they shaved her bald, but Graham thought it was worse because now they could see everything. As a
He
result,
means better.
I was gonna say, she wasn't bald.
You give her like a landing strip.
Sorry.
well, they
Just like a 5
ended
o'clock
up
shadow.
gluing on a Barbie-like prosthetic. Which made her crotch look featureless, so she just looks like a Ken doll down there.
I'll say
I
that
kind of
was looking,
noticed
but I
that.
I was like, come on,
I
Lydia.
thought it looked a little.
Yeah,
weird.
like she doesn't have any
When she was
no
walking.
lips.
I was like, man, it's so shiny. Should I just wax it up or something? Put turtle wax on there. Got Mr. Miyagi down there. Teaching Danielson how to do it.
It's a punk rock thing.
Yeah.
All right. Then the two heroes of the movies are named Bert and Ernie, but there's no connection to the Sesame Street characters because it turns out Dan O'Bannon did not even know about the puppets when he chose the name.
You didn't know about Bert and Ernie?
Like, how do you not know
How
about
do you, are you
that?
part of this world?
He was never a child.
Oh,
Ever.
What the hell's a Jim Henson?
Some of the extras were paid more to eat real, raw calf brains.
Ooh, that can't be
So,
healthy.
yeah, they committed to that.
That's some Fear Factor shit there.
Some of the executive producers attempted to contact George A. Romero several times in order to offer him the choice of producing the movie,
Hey George,
but
hey,
he
Did
never
they contact
me
him
again,
through a
Colin.
returned to the call.
we're calling about that movie,
It's like, I'm up to my ass in zombies. I don't want your zombies.
The part of Bert was originally offered to Leslie Nielsen,
Oh, that would
but
be
he
awesome.
wanted too much money.
Of
Of course
he
he did.
Yeah.
He earned it too. He's
Yes.
Leslie goddamn Nielsen, or was. May he rest in peace.
All right.
Toby just did the sign of the cross.
And finally, the lead pipe that Clu Gulager, is that how you say it, uses in the movie is actually made of rubber. Initially, he used a real pipe, but the crew replaced it with a rubber one when they became worried about Clu's frequent angry and sometimes violent outbursts.
Oh, wow.
They also get like
Like-
rubber shoes.
My goodness.
I'm like, I wonder what kind of problems you have
They
when.
just like they only gave him like Jello with spoons for lunch.
They would let him wear a belt. Took the shoelaces out of his shoes.
Do you think he had the same problem on Feast?
What's that?
Anger management? Because he was the old guy from Feast, right?
Oh, he's a bartender, wasn't he?
Oh,
Yeah.
Because didn't his son
John
direct?
Gulager,
Yeah.
Gulager.
What a name.
Yeah.
did
Gulager.
anybody else feel like that soundtrack from it would have held up in a movie today?
That from
It would. It
It
has
kind of
like
reminded me of
the
Drive.
damn-
You motherfucker.
the
What?
credits.
How dare you? How dare you? You guys make so much fun about the Lost Boys soundtrack. Do you think this shit would hold up?
Well, you know, if I would have
Sounds
seen that
better.
greasy man
Abe's
play
still bitter about the
on a guitar, I might change my mind.
You guys didn't see it, but the whole time we watched that movie, there was tears.
Nothing went Abe's way during that.
I like it, honey.
I like.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm bummed that
I
I missed that one. I really like Lost Boys.
I agree that that shit was pretty cool. I like that music.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was better than the Lost Boys soundtrack.
I agree with Colby. I think it's better.
I have both on mine.
You guys will have to replace this with a rubber stick.
yeah.
For your Abe's violent
Violent
outbursts.
outbursts.
Give him a rubber piece of wood.
You know, I had a thing. I read this story a long time ago about this movie, and they said a very interesting thing. Usually, people will move from kind of a B horror film, and they'll get a little better, and they'll make a little better movies, and eventually they start winning awards. What was cool about this was Dan O'Bannon had already won an Oscar for Aliens, or I don't know if he won it, but Aliens had won an Oscar.
What did he do?
He wrote Aliens.
He wrote
Yeah.
Alien?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
And so everyone was like,
Wait, Alien or Aliens?
Alien.
Okay.
and so
The
everyone
first
was like,
one or second? I can't
The
hear.
first.
Okay. I can't hear if you're pronouncing the S or not.
yeah, Alien.
Okay.
And
God damn, he wrote that?
yeah.
What a fucking great movie.
Yeah, and so everyone was like, "Oh my god, he went from this great horror movie to this kind of crappy horror movie."
It was
But I think it was
good.
wicked.
I think it was so
Great.
much fun.
You know what I love about movies like this is they acknowledge that horror movies are always kind of a stretch and a little like goofy when you think about it, and there's like, let's go full on fucking goofy. Fuck it, like let's make it goofy and fun.
It is time once again to meet your monster.
So, this is obviously zombies, but the way they are created, did you guys catch what the gas was? I think was it 242 trioxin? Is that
Something like
familiar?
that.
Yeah, something,
Something like that. So it, you get exposed to it via gas or acid rain, and then you come back to life, and you're pretty much immune to anything, right? You can't get killed by destroying the brain. Fire, I guess, is the only thing, right?
Sort of.
I
Didn't
guess
really,
so.
didn't really
Yeah.
kill him so much as it just burned
I
him
mean,
in
you
pieces.
spread, yeah. So maybe you're still alive, the little ashy parts. Because guns didn't work. You pretty much.
They chopped that
I mean-
one into
oh,
pieces.
but you want to eat brains because brains. Apparently, when you're dead, you're in a ton of pain. You're just torturing you. Now, if you eat brains, it makes you feel temporarily better.
I love that. Finally got some goddamn
That was
explanation
pretty
of why
cool,
they want
yeah.
to eat brains.
But dude, in the other Living Dead movies, they don't necessarily want to eat brains.
Yeah,
It's
they
just
just wanna
Return of the
eat,
Living
like,
Dead.
just
They
because-
want or Return of the Living Dead. They want to eat brains.
Maybe they didn't know quite yet. They just like, foot's okay. I like the kidneys. Oh shit, brains. That's where it's at. Eases the pain.
So that was a pretty fun explanation.
Well, then, is it okay then that the zombies can still talk and think like
That's
regular?
what I
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of like.
they're
The
smart, too.
chemical kind of explains that, because to me it seems like the chemical just reanimates like every cell in the body. That's why the arms keep going, because they just keep every cell going.
Because
But-
it's not really dependent on the brain giving them that signal. They're just
Yeah.
all
But
twitching
that guy was
all
going
over.
through rigor mortis already, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
'Cause he's
Yeah,
like,
they mentioned that.
I like that. It's kind of like a lesson on how a body decays. The guy's like, no, if you look here on his back, the blood's starting to pool.
So in a zombie, would they just have these big bloated like lower extremities where all the blood would pool? Their hands, their feet, their
Probably.
pelvis, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting. Or would it all just go right down to the? I don't know.
Here's the other thing: is if they're dead and decaying, how long before their teeth would fall out?
Probably not very long.
Not very long.
Yeah.
But do you think about it? I bet somebody can dome somebody pretty hard.
I knew a dog once.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You ever had a baby bite you? Kind of hurts.
I was watching this one really fucked up
Baby
documentary, and it was about this Japanese cannibal who is out of prison because he won the insanity plea. And he was talking about
They let you have
when he killed this one girl and tried to eat her, and like tried to take a chunk out of her butt. And like he said, he could not bite down hard enough to break the skin. He actually hurt his jaw and had to go to the dentist to get it fixed.
Wow.
What did you
So-
do?
What else?
You know. Yeah, this is really creepy to hear him talk about it. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's because look at your neck. You could tear somebody's neck, right? I don't know. Maybe my neck. You look like you got a really thick neck.
Yeah,
Was she
yeah,
a
I'm
dancer?
training it.
I don't
Necklace.
know.
Was she a
She might
linebacker?
cheat off.
See, at least in Alive, when they were eating people's butts, they would cut them up and cook them and stuff.
Yeah, tenderize that meat.
Yeah. Here at Meet Your Monsters, we like to examine all forms of depravity, and so now for the mathematically perverted report.
Okay. This movie featured 8 bodies that we could count because it seems like a lot more people died, but we'll only count
On
the ones we
screen,
saw.
yeah.
It was almost uncountable deaths because
Yes.
all the cops
All
and
the
then
cops
the barricade got
and-
overran.
Now, this boob count's a little jaded. There are 13 boobs in this movie, 12 of which belong to, what's her name?
Trash.
I don't care. I will count the same boobs over and over and over again. And there were 3 vaginal mound shots, I guess, because it wasn't really her vagina.
Because
It was like Barbie.
I heard something.
You know, that got me to
so
thinking.
disgustingly.
We got into my
Your fear of
affinity
feminists.
for genital violence towards men. I feel like if it were the
Your
opposite.
affinity.
What did I say?
You said affinity.
Well,
Does that mean you like it?
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah, no, I like the dick violence. Yeah, it was my favorite scenes in the movies. We're talking about it, remember?
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
He
does
shot
like
his dick off in RoboCop.
He does
He's
like
that
that.
dick.
yeah,
As
I
long as
was
he
like,
doesn't have to
Why are you
see
so
a dick.
scared of that?
Why do you have to
Embrace it.
kill it?
No, I don't want to see them. I want to see them being mangled.
We're gonna
He's
do
got
the,
a lot of issues.
Yeah, the fruity
But I was just
part
thinking
of
about it. If it were the opposite and their vaginal violence, I'd be like, I'm fucking done with this movie. I'd just storm
Yeah,
out
that's
of the room.
because that goes into something else. A
Yeah.
bigger issue of not funny stuff.
No.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm
This
glad you don't
topic
like
seems
it.
unfunny.
Don't get serious on this topic.
I was just thinking. We're just full circle here.
I feel like I just had a Harry Potter moment with you.
What's that?
Okay, you're in Defense Against the Dark Arts, right? And they have those creatures where they will turn into whatever you're afraid of. They open-
Dementors?
No. But he turned into the Dementor. I think they're called Boggarts or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So they open the cabinet door. This thing comes out. It's a giant wang staring right at you.
Flopping.
Big wiener, and you're going no.
It wouldn't
then-
be me going, no, it's like...
And then you would have to say
"Aw."
you'd have to say some sort of Latin RoboCop word, and then he would jump out and shoot it.
It
or
wouldn't
something.
be me scared, just me really uncomfortable, like finding other things in the room to look at. Like,
Alexis Morpheus.
In your drawing classes, have they done any of the nude models yet?
No, and when I'm not going to, 'cause that's figure drawing. That's another
Oh, yeah,
class.
figure drawing.
Well, it'll just be a bunch of squiggles down there. This is my
This
interpretation.
is gonna be a
of
red
dick.
X.
I had
bird.
some awkward moments in life drawing where the models would get erections.
What do they do?
And
Just,
then everybody
deal
like
with
get
it?
mad and have
Just
to
like-
erase and start over.
I said, "Quit moving, bro."
Did they just
Choose up, hard or
commit,
flaccid.
or what do they do?
Well, usually, like the one instance I can remember the most vivid, because I'm sure I have more than once. But the guy just turned really red. Like you could see his face turn really red, and you could see almost the will. He was like, "Please go down, please go
Thinking
down,"
of
like
dead
trying
kittens
to.
and American flags.
Yeah, because I remember him just getting real sweaty and red, and it was like he was focusing all of his great chi into making his boner go away. We were all like, awkward. But
Nope, at least he found all of you attractive.
that must have been it. Is that it for the Colby count?
Yeah, that'll do her.
And now we honor the artists and artistry that literally put the horror in the horror movie with what we lovingly call special effects.
Right. Well, the guys who worked on the special effects for this movie were Robert E. McCartney and I'm assuming his brother Kevin McCartney. Or
No
McCartney?
relation.
What about Jessica?
No relation.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they worked on some other really great projects: Twin Peaks, and
Awesome.
my personal favorite, Three Ninjas.
Oh, yes!
Those are the little
Colt.
kid ninjas, right?
One of them is cold, like a horse. That's all I remember.
And
I'm trying to think of
They
all
had an
the.
Asian grandfather, and I didn't understand why.
I'm trying to think of all the effects they would have needed in Twin Peaks outside of like Laura Palmer's dead body. What else would they have needed?
all those
That midget guy
maybe
was
the part with
actually
the-
like
the
8 feet
midget.
tall.
part
That's
with,
all
like,
animatronic.
the owls, Bob's spirits.
yeah, they actually fired the first special effects guy because he just wasn't cutting it compared to these guys, I guess. And they brought these guys in and they fucking nailed it with their animatronics and great special effects and makeup.
I did like the way the gooey zombie walked. Like he was
Yeah.
kind of like.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
did
it
they
was
call him
kinda like
Tarman, or was
Shipwreck
that somebody else?
Tarman.
Tarman.
Yeah.
Ugh, that was gross.
And
He
was,
looked great.
He was the guy that came out of the barrel, so he was all goopy. And,
Yeah.
yeah. They have an action figure of him that's so good.
That's
What?
like
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
that
man.
has shown up on multiple lists for like best special effects for a movie.
It was cool.
Yeah. Oh, and also they also did the wire effects for Phantasm 2.
Really?
Oh, how'd they do it?
Man, Phantasm 2 was just last week.
I
What are
know.
the odds?
Don't act like you haven't planned this, Abe.
And we also saw that guy from
We're not all
Bad
just
Girls.
playing your
today.
little game.
Yeah.
Oh my
we're
god,
just
we
little
saw James
married-
LeGros in that Bad Girls movie today.
Who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's that?
The guy from Phantasm 2 that played Mike.
Who is Mike?
The
The main guy?
Yeah. Not Reggie, but the other
The other one? He was in Bad Girls?
Yeah, he was
What movie was that? You guys remember?
that cowboy movie.
Female cowboys.
Oh, the girl the girl whorehouse. They all
Oh.
bust out and turn into outlaw girls.
Oh.
Kathleen would explain it better because
Because I watched it like every day in 7th grade. That's awesome.
But yeah, really nothing to get too in depth here. It's just like a bunch of really impressive animatronics and makeup effects.
It was really good. I liked how the spine was flopping around while they had that
Mhm.
That's
one.
pretty gross.
Yeah, a lot of awesome puppetry.
Yeah, really good puppetry.
And because we watched the movie on YouTube, we coincidentally saw that William Stout had done all the set design, which I didn't know. That was
I don't know
awesome.
who that is.
He's a famous illustrator.
His name is what?
Illustrator.
Oh, really? Well, I know any of his work.
You'd probably know it if you saw it.
Oh,
He's done a bunch of stuff.
they do any Batman.
I don't know.
Oh.
I feel like I've probably seen a William Stout Batman at some point in my life. But yeah.
Good. Awesome.
Did they say anything about how? Because she was saying that they used the brains.
I did not come across that, but I'm not gonna say she's a liar.
I'm not calling her a liar.
I like that.
But
The Tar Man, the way he was like, "Hey, brains! Hey, more brains!" It's kind of like when you come into work and there's donuts, you're like, "Oh, hey, donuts!"
He had very expressive eyebrows.
The films we discuss on this podcast are horrifying, but sometimes real life is even more fucked up. Brace yourself for the nefarious news.
in Return of the Living Dead, it's a government experiment with the dirt. What the people were in? What started the whole zombie thing?
You told us like 10 minutes ago.
No, I know what causes
They were
it.
gonna spray it on marijuana,
On
crops to
marijuana,
kill
that's
them.
right. Because I'm pretty sure you were talking during that.
Yeah, I
You
probably
called
was.
me. No, that's fine. So I started thinking about, other government experiments, secret things. We've done a lot of messed up shit in our, years. But in the San Quentin prison from 1913 to 1951, Dr. Leo Stanley performed hundreds of experiments on prisoners. One of them involved experiments involving testicular implants.
Whoa.
He would take the testicles out of executed prisoners and surgically implant them into living prisoners. He was hoping to rejuvenate older men, control crime somehow through this.
You're wiser when you have a third testicle.
He
I was gonna
also,
ask, did he add or replace?
it doesn't say.
I got a whole sack of balls.
He also attempted to implant
Jiggle it,
testicles
like when you're walking around. Like a
of
bag
rams,
marbles.
goats, and boars into living prisoners as well.
Wow.
That was all
I
about
think
the
this dude was
balls.
crazy.
He also did a lot of forced sterilization, so he was really the reproductive. He kind of just used.
Who was that
those.
guy that did all that in the?
Dr. Mengele?
Yeah,
Mm.
Joseph Mengele. Yeah.
Well, I was talking to Matt about it, and there's a lot of stuff that we kind of hired a bunch of the Nazi war criminals and cleared their record and had them give us all their data from all the experiments they used to do. And
There
they,
you
yeah, like, was it Project Paperclip? Is that what
Oh
you're
my
saying?
Yeah.
god, I just saw the X-Files last night where they talked about Project Paperclip.
Yeah.
So yes.
I didn't think that was a real thing for a long time, but
Because
yeah,
of X-Files?
just because it sounds insane.
X-Files isn't a
Insane.
real
Messed
thing?
up to think that. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't that long ago.
I mean, it wasn't that
It
we
wasn't-
took their research; it was that we
We
gave
hired them.
immunity
Yeah.
to them and gave them new
Move
identities.
them over here
You
and
gotta-
give them people to work on.
You gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet.
Oh, well, we were talking about that. Like,
Yeah.
We
it's
said,
it's messed up. But look how much I'd in no way say it's justifiable, but a lot of this stuff we wouldn't be so advanced scientifically.
It's kind of like dogs. Like the reason dogs are so friendly now is because like ancient man, with the ones that weren't friendly, they would kill them. So now only the friendly dogs would breed. So while it's awful that they would do that, now we got a bunch of friendly dogs.
But oh,
And
God.
Miles.
Yeah. So if he wants to research that more. I didn't want to look too much more into that. But I
That's a
don't see
crazy-
how. Yeah, and you bring up a good point. Did they take out their old ones and put the?
no, they didn't
Yeah.
volunteer for this, I'm
Of
assuming.
course
This
not,
was like
no.
Now, was he in trouble for this? Or was this a...
It doesn't say, but to 51, it doesn't say if he got caught, what happened. But he would believe his experiments would rejuvenate old men, control crime, which he believed had biological causes, and prevent unfit from reproducing. So he wasn't trying to make little goat babies, at least. But, yeah, so
Wow.
thanks, America.
You think the warden was like, man, he's our best ball guy. Something with balls. He's on it. Okay. Hours of effort and creativity go into making a movie, and there's always some asshole just waiting to shit on it. And so on behalf of the underappreciated horror filmmakers, we are here to take revenge with the critical critique.
My God, they've all gone.
So, kind of hard with this one.
It's too good.
Yeah, I mean, it's got
Awesome.
90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
We have to make fun of Matt now.
Yeah.
He's the only one.
Come on.
It's
But-
alright.
But I mean, the people who didn't like it had the same opinion as you. They think that it didn't. So the only one that I could actually find was a whole review. Like most of the ones that are on Rotten Tomatoes, there's no like actual review. They just rated it like 1 out of 5, or like 2 out of 5. And that's it. That's all for the review. But this one says that no means the ultimate horror movie it aspires to be. The volume of stagey gore quickly reaches a point of diminishing returns. And rather than trying to stay in a mood of grim suspense, the writer-director Dan O'Bannon has conceived the cinematic cousin of Night of the Living Dead as a mordant punk comedy. So,
I agree.
I'd say the
which-
same thing, but give it a thumbs up.
right, yeah, and it's, I mean, anytime I found 2 other bad reviews, but they were all positive. They were like, I don't understand how it was actually like how they rated it rotten, or how they interpreted that as them rating it rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, because they were like overwhelmingly positive. It was just like, maybe this thing was just not so great, but it was still like 4 out of 5 stars. So I mean, basically, yeah, it just seems to be what I mean. Anybody that had anything bad to say about it, that's all they could say, is that they couldn't really figure out whether it was supposed to be a horror or a comedy.
Which is kind of what you were saying.
Yeah.
And
And
I could
like-
see if that's...
I don't know, and not a lot happened really when you think about
You're
it.
right.
There's like it was few and far between like the cool action scenes and the gore scenes.
I think I know what's going on here, guys.
What's happening?
I think to keep this quiet, there was a deal with the government where they had to get rid of all the bad reviews.
Matt, you need to call that number on the center table right now. But I mean, if that's not, do you normally enjoy movies like that are kind of stupid comedy? Did you like Slaughter High? Yeah,
That's
did
the
you?
same opinion. On
Yeah.
Slaughter
So I mean, I wouldn't say that was necessarily the same vein, not quality maybe, but maybe you just don't like those.
I
ones,
don't know.
and
I
that's
like
fine.
to. I don't know. I like when movies ask for audience participation, where they don't spell everything
What
out.
do you think, Matt?
You kind of have to think about it a bit, but.
Okay, but do you like the way Damon Lindelof does it, where it makes no sense? At
Oh
all?
god, no! He doesn't know what he's doing.
Thank you. Thank
He's
you.
not writing things that make sense. He's just writing things that sound cool.
You guys are gonna piss
And
Derek
reference.
off.
Yeah.
Derek's under the impression that Lost made sense.
It did.
I read that article you sent me.
Yeah.
No, sir.
I think I've read the same article because it's a cracked writer who wrote
Yeah,
it,
David Wong.
and I just could not agree
Is
with
he the
that.
one who wrote?
You know what I've realized the problem with that is a lot of people made emotional connection to that show, and so they did everything they could to make it make sense. When in
Yeah.
fact it did not.
That's true. I did like the characters. I thought the characters were really cool, but
That was the problem. Was it was so good and the mysteries were so good that they didn't know what to do with
they
it.
couldn't
Yeah.
live up
They
to
couldn't
it.
solve their own mysteries.
Mhm.
So they went, what do you do?
Well, I mean, I've heard him do interviews where he does kind of say that, but we could
It's
have
not
an
a
hour
lot.
conversation
It's not a lot.
about why I think.
But when the writers admit, because they've said this in interviews that they didn't know what was going to happen, they didn't know how to explain things.
They would
They
change
just
shit
would write
halfway
things.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just means you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
And you
bad
got
writing.
no business wasting our fucking 6 years.
Mhm.
Would you have liked it better if it was just an ambiguous ending? They didn't explain anything.
Absolutely
No,
not.
it wasn't. I was so
don't
pissed
know.
off.
Is that what they did?
Yeah,
Kind
Oh,
of.
they did. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
no,
I never
it
watched
wasn't
that.
There was an
ambiguous.
ending, but it didn't make
absolutely
any sense.
ambiguous. That was
No,
nothing.
they were
What was the
good.
smoke monster? What was Jacob? What was the light in the center
No,
of the
they
island?
They
explained
explained all that stuff just poorly.
How do they
It
explain
was
it?
just weird explanations that didn't make
Yeah.
sense.
He was just basically concentrated evil.
Like
What that?
the
What
island was a
concentrated
cork.
evil? Why was he a
and
smoke?
Yeah.
It got
Why,
uncorked.
why was he?
Well, I
why
think
did
it
it
could
going
do-
into that little thing turn him into the smoke monster? But everybody else that walked in there was fine.
Well, they
Because
didn't
he
have
was
to
already
explain
the
all
smoke
that.
monster.
Huh?
I don't know. Like I said, we could talk about it for an hour.
Derek's
Like
getting
Walt can
kinda
teleport
angry.
and sees polar bears, so that's never brought up.
I will say we've been watching this new show that he writes for called The Leftovers, and so
Which is-
far it is amazing.
I don't know.
And I just keep waiting for it to suck because I'm sure
The end. The
I'm
end
sure
will suck
yeah
dick.
like it's so good right
Well, we'll
now.
find out tonight.
Well, the season finale, but it could go years and be good, and then suck at the end. So I'm just waiting, and I swear, Damon Lindelof, because I know you're listening to our
Hey, if you'd like to
wonderful
sponsor us.
podcast. If The Leftovers sucks, if the ending is bad, I will never watch another fucking show that has your name in the credits, unless it starts.
I
already
kind
lost.
of haven't been that interested in the leftovers though, because I don't think they're ever gonna explain what happened. Because I don't think that's what the
I
show's
don't
about.
think, I don't
I-
think
you
they
know,
have
I
to explain
read-
what happens. They just have to have an ending that's good, and
I-
that doesn't
yeah,
have to be
fair
the. They don't have to say this is why everybody disappeared. They just have to have something that it either ends well because you understand the characters. It just has to have a good ending. I don't need everything
I
explained.
It just
read
bugs
that-
me that I might not ever find out what happened.
I read that in an interview, Damon Lindelof said he totally doesn't mind asking questions that aren't answered. Like he thinks that's a cool thing
See,
to do in writing.
I think it's cool too. Just don't put it in the fucking movie. Ask those questions and then leave them out of your fucking movie because we're all watching it, spending our time and money on it.
Yeah, you could ask the questions and then put enough clues in it to where people can solve it themselves.
Yeah.
But
What do you think?
if you've put no clues and no reason to anything, it's a cheap trick to write whatever you want.
Yeah.
Dirty motherfucker.
And if somebody writes a good script, Prometheus, don't write a shitty one on top of it. Okay, sorry.
I got this story.
Damon Lindelof is our critical critique. No, it has nothing to do with
I'll tell this story real quick, Abe, because you told me a story that I think is the complete opposite of that. That is a beautiful story. That they gave Shane Black, famous screenwriter, the screenplay for Predator, and asked him if he wanted to change it, and he said no,
Yeah.
because it was perfect the way it was.
They said, "You want to rewrite this?" He said, "Nope." They said, "You want to be in it?" And he said, "Okay."
Yeah.
Okay, what's our next segment, Abe?
Let's get meta about murder with Matt's themes and tropes.
There was a ton of awesome 80s freeze frames and weird slow-mo.
They were
I
great.
loved it.
There was some freeze frames. I didn't
Yeah.
think about that.
Again, the soundtrack's amazing.
It reminded me a lot of the Drive soundtrack, to be honest.
It's just like a lot of synth and... Yeah, there wasn't really any lyrics. Oh yeah, there was in the Drive soundtrack. And
Similar. Watch it.
Abe's gonna kill us.
I was just thinking, we have the Drive soundtrack, and there's
I,
not
Oh, you
I
do?
listened to the song from that today and also from the Cramps today.
Oh,
like,
man.
nothing.
I'm gonna have to grab that soundtrack from you guys.
But I still enjoyed the soundtrack. It was good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt.
Another trope. I think the slutty naked girl died first in this movie, right?
Oh.
She was the first of their group, I think.
Yeah.
She wasn't
And-
slutty, she was free.
She
She was, you know,
She didn't bone
feminist,
anybody.
man.
She just liked to show off her bush.
She could have. If suicide would
God bless her.
Yeah.
We've been.
Good
Like to
point.
show off her shiny plastic vagina.
It's my new vagina. But she cracked me up. She couldn't even get out of the car unsexy. Did you see how she got out? She crawled over the seats onto the hood and then like spread eagle onto the ground from the hood.
Sometimes just born with it, man.
I kind of wish I could do that. I'm not nimble enough.
You just have to wear your Barbie crotch piece. And then you have to do that because you can't move
Would
your
that,
legs
would
right.
that just be like a plastic dong, like over your regular dong?
But it'd be just like a
Didn't Mark
Maybe it'll be the
Wahlberg?
Ken one.
Didn't Mark Wahlberg do that for Boogie
Yeah,
Nights? He had a
yeah,
fake dick on
like
top
a
of his
dick
dick.
extension,
And then
like a
Hodor
dick
too,
extension.
right?
That was fake?
Another thing. I'll go into tropes that they break, and that was the sympathetic zombie. In most zombie movies, you're sympathetic for the person that they used to be because it's usually like a family member or a friend, but then you get this explanation about how it hurts to die, so they need the
Yeah.
brains.
Mm.
So
That lady
it's the first
was-
time you really get a good motivation for zombies.
It's just like evil for the sake of being evil. I appreciated
Yeah.
that.
That's
It's
interesting.
very
thought. I never
clever.
thought of that.
Felt bad wanting to feed her little pieces of dead brain or something, you know?
Mm.
Why aren't you using it?
Just put her in a fishbowl.
Yeah. She'd love it.
It's very insightful, man. I never thought of that.
You ever seen the movie Fido?
Oh, you know what? That makes a lot of sense too because the less brains they got, the more pain they'd be in, the more pissed off they'd be, and the more they'd want to kill you.
In Fido,
This
they
movie's
like
secretly
tame
brilliant. How do you
zombies.
like it?
How did I? No, I can't lose my own argument by evidence I present.
The black dude never died.
That's
Yeah,
right.
That was
Yeah.
they
Well, I
all
mean, I
died
guess he
together.
did at the end because everybody died, but
I was
Yeah,
very
but he
happy about
survived.
that. Yeah, I kept thinking that.
You're
Yeah.
gonna get a bitch.
What was that dude's name again? Miguel?
Miguel.
Nunez.
Miguel Nunez? Awesome.
He was homeless when they started this movie.
Oh, he looked like
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
They all
rude.
did.
yeah, that sweet ass Jerry Curl going.
Yeah, something.
Yeah,
He
you
looked like
can't-
a girl sometimes.
Can't have a look like that on
Because
the
he
streets.
was just really
That's-
like skinny kind of and
Oily, greasy.
oily. Well, you know how like 80s girls looked like that kind of too. They were all like he didn't have to have boobs. So I was like,
Did you say they didn't have to have boobs?
well, back then, like they didn't necessarily have to. Like there were some flat
They
chested.
didn't have
Oh,
the same
you're talking about-
bra
yeah.
technology we have today.
Yeah, right. There was narrative padding.
That's something that we
Ubertech.
talk about from time to time that I really appreciate. Like, I don't want every single character in the movie to look like a supermodel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want them to look like human beings. Some fat, some old, some ugly. I prefer that.
See, I don't.
I need all of them pretty.
That reminds me of this one time I was looking at the message boards on IMDb, and it was for, I want to say it was for Fargo or something like that. And someone said, "I'll never watch a movie with an ugly leading woman," saying that Frances McDormand was ugly.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, and I was like,
fucking
not
idiot.
only like what an asshole, but like too, like Frances McDormand isn't ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not like a knockout, but she's pretty.
Well, and that wasn't necessarily part of her character was to be.
It would have
knockout
ruined her
or-
whole character if she was
Yeah.
some supermodel.
Like
Yeah.
the hottest.
Like, oh,
Hot.
that chick's in North Dakota.
No, you look at her. You go, yeah, you look at
Yeah.
You live in North Dakota.
Been to
Yes,
North
you
Dakota?
And the great part
Now
about
we
that
lost
too
our
is
North
like
Dakotan fan.
maybe the two parts where they could have used like supermodels, they still didn't. Like the ladies that they intercourse with in the hotel. the are they hookers?
Ladies of the night.
Yeah, we'll just call them.
Yeah, but even they weren't like like supermodels
Well,
or
just
anything.
they
They
used-
looked absolutely like they could be from Minnesota.
All those people could be.
With
like-
like their feather bangs and yeah, that's great.
My papa, my grandpa, he we always watched movies together, and he's like, "Oh, this movie is so good." We watched. I mean, he was like 70. We were watching it, and that scene comes on, and it's like, "Oh God, Papa, what the?" F-? And you're just like,
Watch him give me that girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have an intro for this segment because, frankly, we don't really have a segment yet. Kobe's got something for us, so what have you got?
We're doing the lighter news, which we probably should have done this after the nefarious news.
Well, no, because this will be at the end. See, the idea is that, we talk about all this death and horror. Maybe there's something happy going on in the world.
Yeah,
that's good.
it's wasn't necessarily happy. It's kind of funny, but and maybe you guys already know this, but the CDC actually has a plan in place for a zombie outbreak. It started off as a joke, but they actually started working on it because they thought it would actually work in the event of an epidemic or like a hurricane or anything like that. They would have a plan in place.
So just
It's
kind of like
top
a
secret is what it is, Kathleen.
Ooh.
I don't
See,
know.
that seems like a jerk move because wouldn't they want everybody to be prepared for this?
Well, I
David
mean, I think it's
Lindelof
just
come
the
up with this
CDC's the CDC's protocol.
So
What
we
they're
can
going to
trust
do.
the government in this one? What if they caused it? Well, good. I'm glad somebody's got something.
Bomb everything.
They said typical army mistake, and they sent the zombies to their place. Maybe you could tell us how many mistakes does the military make?
All of them.
I was just
Yeah,
talking
Derek
about how
was-
on John Oliver's show they were talking about how like apparently America has been almost blown up like 4 or 5 times, like blown the fuck up. Like
Well, according to 24, that is definitely the show 24. There's
Oh,
one
yeah,
person
yeah.
running around,
but
saving
like
everybody.
nuclear missiles, there's like hundreds and hundreds of them like in America.
Oh, there's
And-
tens of thousands of those in America.
Yeah,
With the
thousands.
warheads.
Yeah, thousands of women.
Wow.
But yeah, and so they were talking about that, like and he gave like three references of times where like a plane had armed nuclear missiles flying over America, and the plane just fell apart because of some mechanical breakdown or something, and it landed in North Carolina with 2 armed nuclear warheads.
Awesome.
Another
Were they
time,
armed?
they like accidentally loaded nuclear tip missiles on instead of like regular missiles. I think it was
Nuclear
on
what?
nuclear tipped.
I said tit.
That's nuclear tits.
Just a big pair.
And,
They
yeah,
weren't
and sat
like they weren't like
unguarded.
You could
weapons.
cut
They
glass
were just
with those.
really nice boobs.
Yeah,
It was
they were
like,
just-
God damn, baby, those are A bombs.
Well, wait a second.
nuclear tits.
Who would suckle on nuclear tits?
Oh.
Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
True enough.
Let's fight Mothra.
I regret saying.
No take backs. You've said it.
Now, didn't you crash some missiles one time when you were in the Navy?
Nobody's supposed to know.
Yeah.
Fucking MPs are gonna bust in here.
Of course.
Oh, this is just gonna be beep.
You're gonna have to redact some shit.
Yeah. No, it wasn't missiles, but nothing like that ever happened to me, by me, around me, to my knowledge. Please move on. But I will say something that I didn't have anything to do with was they had these they were. You would load them onto the jet just like a Sidewinder, and they were simulators. Like they would run, essentially, they would fly around and pretend to shoot each other with Sidewinders, and it would give them the data of what would happen if they shot these real missiles. And one of these fell off and was sticking nose first in the ground right outside the admin office. And I'm like, oh man, if that had been a real one, that would have been a big nasty day. But I didn't have anything to do with that. But yeah, definitely anything that can go wrong in the military has and will, because it's people that don't
So
really
basically,
care.
it's a Beetle Bailey comic strip 24/7.
Yeah. We need a different. I don't know if I like this. Now the fun starts with everyone's favorite pieces and parts. It doesn't really work for me. We'll have to do a better one. I'll come up with something better. But yeah, what was
Do it
everybody's favorite pieces and parts?
I had a lot.
Me too.
I like how they were. It was kind of like the Three Stooges trying to kill a zombie in that first scene with the 3 guys, and then how they were just like so like comfortably discussing killing him. Like, okay, well if you hit him in the brain, they're like, well hit him in the brain, it didn't work. Well, what should we do now? Let's cut him up. Oh, it didn't work either.
Yeah, which is cool.
I liked one of the parts I really liked. Is this really what happens with the dead bodies? They have those big old meat-looking hooks, and they attach it to the ears. They hang the dead bodies that way, which that was a wonderful visual. But
That is a nice visual.
when the gas gets released, he starts twitching and waking up in his plastic bag, and that was just great because they had the long shot like from the front with all the hooks, and then the one. That's pretty rad.
And I like when the dude knew what was coming. He was turning into a zombie, so he just hopped in the
Oh, that was sweet.
Hopped in a
that
crematorium.
was
And he
nice.
kissed his ring. He loved his wife.
Would you guys incinerate yourselves if you were turning into a zombie?
No, there's other ways.
You know, I
But
actually.
if I knew I was going to become that kind of zombie, then probably,
Yeah, I just hop right in that fucking thing.
And he was already dead. He knew it.
Yeah, I just would have hopped right in.
Yeah.
And he was cold, too. I'd been like, oh, fire.
I want to talk about that too because I wrote that in my notes because that I don't think I've ever seen anyone ever do that before in a movie. Auto cremation.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I liked how they were kind of smart, and then they could use the radios. So, and they were just like basically ordering more food, like send more, send more.
I like too when the gas all came out and like the little half dog was barking. That was cool. But
Yeah, it was
the
cool.
really cool touch, I thought, the butterflies. Yeah, they were
Yeah, I was
fluttering
gonna
on the
agree with
wall.
that.
That was
I
awesome.
did like the
That was a
butterflies.
good detail.
Yeah,
My
that-
favorite part was, like I said when I was a kid, that half woman getting drugged through the thing and they're them talking to her and
Yeah.
she's explaining the brain. Just because as a kid I remember it was just haunting.
And that was the
Well,
part
and
that I
the-
remembered the most from it.
That reminds me of a lot of that scene in Walking Dead with the squished zombie lady when Rick first sees her.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
The
she's,
very
like,
first
crawling
one?
towards
Yeah,
her.
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah,
They
that
look
was
very
very
similar,
similar. They were
yeah.
both in half and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what blew my mind about that scene? Is I thought, how the hell did they do that? Where they had like her teeth, all of her teeth were exposed, and then I read it in an effects magazine. They just built a whole new face on top of her face, and with the teeth exposed. And I was like, man, that's
And
brilliant.
have you ever seen the woman who plays that part?
Uh-uh.
She is skinny,
Really?
like
Oh.
stick thin, and so they use her for a lot of zombies because they can just throw that stuff on her and she looks fine.
Matt
She
and
goes to
Curtis would do really
conventions.
well. in this
Yeah.
movie.
And start work.
But dude, she makes you look chubby. She's that thin.
I'd make a
So
terrible
you know, we
zombie.
meant to talk
Me
to you
too.
about
You'd be
that.
like, how did this fat fuck?
Yeah.
How many brains does he
So
even eat?
is that how they do a lot of it?
Yeah.
They just build on top.
Yeah.
So like when there's like big chunks missing or something, that's what they
They
It's
just got
interesting
their
that
cheese
they-
stick in there.
can do it so it doesn't look like there's a bunch of like build up.
And see, I thought that'd be brilliant. They did that in that Gotham TV show that's coming up. If they do Two-Face ever, they should do it just like that. Like make it build a face on top of the face, and so they can make it all like his those teeth will be exposed and all that stuff.
The effects on that second Batman movie, he looked real good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
as
it
good
was
as they
all.
can.
It's,
That was
yeah.
CGI though.
Yeah.
Still.
And I
It's
still,
still
I mean,
really good.
it's amazing, but you still know CGI. No matter what, you're still
Yeah.
gonna know.
Yeah,
It
we're,
was really great though.
well, I was talking to somebody about my drawing class. Actually, we were talking about practical effects, and they all had the same complaint I did about The Hobbit. Well, The Hobbit was great, but that one big elf guy being totally CGI, it's just hard not to think like, what?
Which elf guy? Do you mean the...
Not elf. I'm thinking of the orc guy, the
Oh.
goblin. Is it a
Mhm.
goblin with a hook hand?
Oh, the Defiler.
Yeah,
Yeah. Asgog the Defiler?
Mm.
Something
yeah.
like
It's just it's the
He's
same
completely
thing.
CGI. Yeah.
Whereas the orcs in the first Lord of the Rings, you're like, man, they look so fucking cool. And then this one,
Yeah.
you're just kind of like, I don't really believe it.
Yeah, and another thing was that they didn't have as much time as they wanted to for the visual effects for that movie.
Which
I think we
man,
talked about that
then,
last time.
then don't. It's The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take your time. We're all going to buy it.
Right? Everyone is gonna make
Oh
a
yeah,
ton of
I'm
money.
still gonna go see it.
Yeah.
Another great part. They had. I mean, I wasn't scared by them, the scenes, but they had a lot of great just visual, like when the first time the cops get out of the car or whatever, or the paramedics come out, and they just zoom, like
Yeah.
mad rush them, like it was awesome. When the
They ambushed him, yeah. It
Yeah,
was-
they-
yeah,
it
I
was a
mean
total
that's
set.
pretty
Blindsided
chilling
that
right
one
there.
guy.
Yeah. When the zombies start coming out of the graves the first time, because you just pop, 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 pop. They did it in a really, really great way.
I really like when the one inside the tank melts too.
Oh yeah,
Because
it
you
was-
I don't really know the science on that, but that seems like something that would happen, like, because it's probably been in that tank for like 30 something years or something,
Yeah.
right? And like, so it was like preserved,
turned
but
to
then as soon as the
mush.
air hits it, like just
It's like if you ever leave like carrots in a bag,
yeah.
open for a
Oh
long
yeah,
time. That's
that
good
is,
look
that
like.
is exactly right. Holy cow!
Did you have a favorite part, Kathleen?
We kind of talked about it earlier how everything Trash did had to be sexy, and the minute she like starts coming back to life, she's like rising up with her arms up, stretching out her naked, still like fully.
I never her body's
Beautiful
like
body,
that.
yeah.
Walk, yeah.
I was like, did anybody actually bite you or hurt you at all?
Breathe sexily on her.
He teabagged her to death. Suffocated by ball sacks. One of them had 5 because he escaped from the penitentiary.
Yeah, they're gonna say the
A teabag with goat balls.
No, where to go? That's the scariest way to
They should
go.
put that in a Batman comic, like in Arkham. Somebody.
I'm sure Kevin Smith would write something like
Somebody's
that.
been
Hey, that could be
experimenting with balls.
that could be a way to make Bane like a new Bane. Like, he's just got like 18 balls. So it's like
ball
OD'd
sacks just
on
like hanging off his
testosterone.
arms, like oh. Just when he runs, everything just goes like. That's what it sounds like.
Unless it's cold and it stays in place.
But then if you kicked him in the balls, he'd feel like
It's his one weakness.
Yeah, just
They're everywhere.
In closing, to feed the sun god with junk food movie dialogue, we offer unto you the Quetzalcoatl. Who's got a good quote?
I just want to party.
Just wanted to fucking party.
I liked you hold him down and I'll brain him with the axe.
My favorite part was when she starts getting naked and dancing, and that one guy off camera yells, "I need some light over here!"
And they did. They brought
Yeah,
lights.
they
so
turned
you
on the
could look at her
lights.
naked. Mhm.
Mine was when Suicide is who's totally dressed like a typical 80s punk says, "You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life."
I liked when the black dudes was like, "Get the fuck out of the car, honky."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was mine too.
Is that weird that that's like my favorite white racial slur? I wish I could call
It's
people
not
honkies.
fair. We should have more offensive ones for us because, like,
Yeah, we have these
There's
cracker and honky.
yeah, and that's definitely not as mean as anything else for any
I
other
think
races.
it's hilarious.
Like, we are honkies and crackers.
Yeah.
You're right.
My other one was when he says, "You gotta hit the brain." He says, "I hit the fucking brain."
Oh yeah.
I like pretty much
That's a big
everything.
thick accent, though.
What do they get? The Bert was the guy who actually owned the medical supply place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like pretty much everything he said. He was just
great.
so matter of fact, right? Like, hey, God damn it, hit them in the fucking brain.
There was an eye chart in the office, and it said, I was trying to read part of it, and it was like,
It said,
"Hi, Bert."
no, it said Bert is a slave driver and is going bald. Ha ha ha.
Okay, I wanted to know if somebody else saw that because I was
I saw that too, but I couldn't work out what it said. I
Yeah.
was like, "Bertus?"
like, "Bertus?" Another great one was when, I don't know, Girl in the Blue and the other guy were sitting there talking about suicide, and she's like, "Hey, where's Trash?" And he's like, "Hey, fuck you, Ballbuster."
Do you want to tell him who said my funny quote?
Oh, Stephen King.
Say it again?
I was gonna say I knew that because
In
you
what
told me the other
context
day,
was
just
he-
like
Oh, did I?
recently. Yeah.
Yeah, read the quote again?
Okay, so I'm listening to Nightmares and Dreamscapes, and in the opening, he's talking about how he believed in everything when he was a kid, and he says, reality can take a flying fuck at a rolling donut. And I thought, that is the best line ever written. Pretty awesome. That is the end of Meet Your Monsters for this week. Thank you to you guys for hanging out and watching this with me, and thanks to you at home for listening. If you're following along, next week's movie will be Piranha 3D.
Ooh.
Don't act surprised, you fucking know. But thanks for acting surprised because I told you to anyway. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.